Good morning and welcome to Rising. I'm Niall Stanage and we have a great show for you today. We do have a slightly different show than normal because our friend Amber Duke, who's normally my co-host on a Friday, is ill. Nothing serious, she'll be back soon. But at the last moment, I'm glad to be joined by the Hill's Washington correspondent, Drew Petrimoulx. Good to have you here.
Great to be here in a new studio.
Exactly.
I love the digs you guys have in here.
Exactly. It's all gone luxury and Rising these days.
We've talked a lot on other shows, but it'll be good to re-engage this conversation in a little bit longer form, and excited to be here.
For sure. Looking forward to it. So, coming up on Rising, Navy Admiral Frank Bradley is contradicting the Washington Post reporting on the first alleged drug boat strikes in the Caribbean. He says that Secretary Pete Hegseth never gave a, quote, kill everybody order.
Plus, actress Halle Berry had some harsh words for Governor Gavin Newsom, saying that he should not be our next president.
And Britain's Prince Harry appeared on Stephen Colbert's show, where he took a surprising swipe at President Trump. But first, federal agents arrested a suspect Thursday in connection to the January the 6th pipe bomb case. The man taken into custody is 30-year-old Brian Cole from Virginia.
He's accused of planting 2 pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on the eve of the Capitol riots. Here's FBI Director Kash Patel on the arrest.
I'm proud to stand here before you and say, we solved it. He will have his day in court. The American public and the world will learn even more information through the legal process, as we have committed under this Attorney General. We are the most transparent law enforcement operation in U.S. history, but we are also going to make sure accountability is delivered to its fullest extent. And that happens in the courts of law with our U.S. attorneys and our prosecutors.
And now here is more from Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority. The total lack of movement on this case in our nation's capital undermined the public trust of our enforcement agencies. This cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI.
Now, Cole was charged on counts of transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce, as well as attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. Footage captured by security cameras shows the path of the suspected bomber on the night in question, but his identity was concealed by wearing a hoodie and a face mask, and law enforcement struggled for years to come up with any suspects. Investigators say they used Brian Cole's cell phone data to track his location when the bombs were placed and compared it with the security footage. They also say his credit card records show him purchasing items consistent with the components used to manufacture the bombs.
It's not clear yet if officials have determined the suspect's motive or if there was any connection between the bomb planting and the events at the Capitol the following day. The case has become a hotbed for conspiracy theories, with people suggesting the suspect didn't act alone, this is before this man was arrested, or that the FBI ignored evidence that would have led to an earlier arrest. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie joined in on the conversation, writing on X, 3 things I'll never believe about the January the 6th pipe bomb story. 1, the bomber was a lone wolf. 2, the FBI was this incompetent for 4 years on a case this consequential. 3, the perpetrators were pro-Trump. Meanwhile, Young Turks founder Cenk Uygur says they've arrested the January the 6th pipe bomber. His name is Brian Cole, but we don't know his motive or politics yet. If he's on the left, Trump team will blame everyone on the left, will want to do crackdowns and will call for extreme punishment. If he's on the right, he might pardon him. First of all, I always get that Young Turks guy's name wrong, so I apologise in advance. Is it Cenk or Cenk? Cenk, okay. Cenk. Well, in any event, obviously a big story here. There were a lot of conspiracy theories around this for a long time. Yeah. In the end, it seems to have been basically very good, if belated, police work, I think, going through all these records. It doesn't seem to have been a new tip of any description, just going through previous information about what the component parts were for those pipe bombs and who might have bought them, I think.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, what was going on inside that investigation, but the fact that it took so long and then they kind of used regular police work to figure it out will, I think, just add fuel to the fire of conspiracy theories that burn. I mean, just a few weeks ago, I think it was The Blaze, which is kind of a right-wing publication, was kind of pinning this on a Capitol police officer based on the way they walked and the suspect walked, which apparently now doesn't appear to be the case at all. No word yet on if there's going to be a retraction on that, because it's a pretty serious accusation that was leveled that turns out to look at least not to be true. But you have, like Congressman Massie there, kind of adding fuel to the fire still by saying that one of the things we don't know the motives of this person at all, but he's saying he's already not going to believe that he is, a supporter of President Trump. We don't know that right now, so I don't know that he does either.
Right, and I think one of the dangers with this case, or with any case in such a politically polarized environment, is that people just attach theories that are purely, that they're pulling out of thin air, essentially, or pulling out of their own political beliefs, rather than based on the evidence. I think that The Blaze has finally retracted that story, which I think is important, because that was a very, to my mind, thinly based story based on so-called gait analysis, as you suggested, right. The suggestion that this person was walking in a way similar to the suspect. So, that was a kind of journalistic disaster there. It's obviously worth mentioning that the person who they have arrested will have his day in court, will have the capacity to try to rebut those charges, is entitled to the presumption of innocence, but obviously an apparently major breakthrough in the case.
Also an interesting question here as to whether or not the blanket pardon that President Trump issued for people that participated in what happened at the Capitol would actually possibly apply to him. People have criticized it for being overly broad. I think it could possibly be unintended consequences if that actually ends up being used by this suspect's lawyers in the future to say he can't be held accountable. Yeah,
there are a lot of interesting issues to this, one of which is that some of the conspiracies on the right were about the idea that the pipe bombs were in some sense an inside job, and I think the conspiracy theory was they were intended to draw Capitol Police and other attention away from the Capitol to, make it easier to breach or something. That, from what we're reading, doesn't seem to be the case at all. The only belief that I have seen ascribed to this guy who has been arrested was some reporting that he had expressed anarchist beliefs of some kind. That doesn't seem at all, what would be the word, consistent with the idea that it's some sort of inside job intended to do something about the Capitol riot.
Yeah, I heard the word extremist, thrown around somewhere regarding to this person, but we'll have to wait and see. I think there's a danger sometimes in trying to read too much into the beliefs of somebody who's acting in an extreme measure. I don't think they're often consistent. There's often mental illness, so I think we should all be careful. I know there's frequently this rush in the political sphere to assign blame. People want to hope it's not their side and want it to be the other side, and then as soon as it is, they use that as a cudgel to beat down the other side politically. So I think we should probably be some resistance to that, but just the fact that it took this long and then ended up being regular old police work, listen to some of what the law enforcement officials in the Trump administration said. There was a lot of kind of chest beating over their ability to do this investigation and the lack thereof of the Biden administration. But it would be interesting to see what comes out of this the case, and when you start to see discovery and stuff like that, how they actually track this down, because it's, quite frankly, some interesting police work that went into it. Apparently it was kind of a re-examination of pre-existing, that just leads to all kind of questions, because it's such a high-profile case. Right. To think that they would just kind of open it up and, hey, what about that again? Maybe we've run that down. So
yeah,
I don't know.
5 years, a long time as well.
Yeah.
Up next, Navy Admiral Frank Bradley denies that Pete Hegseth gave an order to kill everybody in the US military strike on an alleged drug boat. Stay with us. We'll be right back with that.